What's up, folks? So let me get this out of my face. Yeah, I was running a little oxygen. How's everybody doing tonight? I hope everybody's having a good night. Let me switch over. Yeah, I got a little carried away today. They thought it'd be better to. Dad said, you better put that on for a little bit and get some air back. I got in all kinds of trouble because I was in all kinds of dust and stuff. Cleaning out an attic. Fun stuff. And Mr. Latra, I figured you'd be here. Thank you very much, sir. Be about a half hour tonight for the upload and the replay. I'm going to play one. Then maybe hang out a bit, but we'll see how it goes. I'm a little on and off. Well, hello, Julia Beth. Are you just coming on, Toasty? I'm here. Yeah, I'm just coming on. I start at 5 after. So you're good. Been around. Oh, man, the flu. Yeah, we were passing around. My biggest problem now is just my voice. But when I get sick, it just takes longer for it to come back. And then everything else with it. So, how are you doing, Julia Beth? Is this you, Jules? Yeah, I'm just coming on. I'm oxygen in. I was crawling around the attic with a bunch of, dust, and old fiberglass stuff trying to clean up. Even though I had stuff on, it was still a mess. Oh, you're fine. You're fine. Be right back. You're good. Oh, I hope you feel better, Latra. Yeah, it's going around here too. We had it off and on the last few weeks. You can see my voice is still giving me trouble. Let's see if I can get it going again. But yeah, now Ashley over in Kansas, my daughter, he came home from the service, so I'm glad he's home. He's home from South Korea. Finally, after being there a few years. So they're all living up. But they all got sick. And Jay said this flu's killer. We had like a little one. It made its round here real fast and then just disappeared. But yeah. Yeah, I figured that's who you were. How you doing? I hope you're good. I hope everybody's having a good weekend. Like I said, I'm gonna do like a 30-minute one. It's like 38 minutes, but I never played all the ending because a lot of it's so old. Good to see you too, Jules. Forget. So I never play all the ending because a lot of it's just old stuff. And this one's like 4 years old. This is 2021. So it's about a half hour, and we'll go from there. See how things are going, how I'm feeling, how my voice is feeling. But it's good to see everybody. I got four whole people, one counting me, so 3. I'm glad you guys come in. I'm good dealing with the foot. Ed Blocker said he's been fighting it too. He's had it for 3 days. Ashley said the little one had it for almost like a week and a half. And when Gemma had it, she had it for like almost 2 weeks. And she fought that sucker long and hard. Now, we didn't stream Friday night because she's still trying to figure out some of this technical issues we had the problems with the following Friday, and she kind of had her hands full trying to get things done. So I figured I better stream tonight. I wasn't going to because my voice and the way I've been pumping Andy and his histamines in me to keep me from losing it with all the dust and stuff. But yeah, I think I make 4. Well, there you go, slow motion. Now it's, that's 3. Because you make it 4 slow motion. How are you doing? I hope you are well. It's good to see everybody. Goodness. But yeah, other than that, it's been a good weekend. Since we didn't stream last night, I just kind of relaxed, and then got this morning. I've been go all day upstairs. Giles is my son is getting ready to move out soon, so he's been packing. So it'll be me and Pop here by ourselves here soon. But other than that, we're good. It's not a bad weekend. It's cold as crap. It's been trying to snow. Who's all getting snow here? Latro, are you getting snow? They said it may make it down that far, so I look for getting the gang again on Friday East for a minute or two. I miss the gems. Yeah, she wants to. We'll be back. Hopefully back Friday, and she's got an upload for Tuesday night. In fact, well, I guess I shoot the crap. I can promote that. Let me pull that up and put it on the screen. Let's see, where'd I put? Here we go. 1 second. We'll just put what she has. In the YouTube. Forgive the dead silence here for a second. Where I hate when they mess with my stuff in YouTube. Where'd you go? Oh, it's right there. Okay. I'm good, Ghost Brothers. Just dropping by. No snow, just ice. Ice, baby, ice. Hold on. If I can do this. Like that. Oh, man. Oh, man. Hold on. Well, anyways, her video for Monday is the bizarre, mysterious death of Ray Rivera. So that will be a good one. That's at 10:15, and later I'll put up the thing for it. But yeah, that'll be a good one Tuesday at 10:15 Eastern time. I believe good old slow motion. What time is it there now? 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. You guys don't have daylight savings times, do you, slow motion? I don't know how you guys work your clocks over there. We have daylight saving times. That screws. I say get away with. Just stop using it. It's a waste. $5:13 a.m. You're up early. Got a busy day ahead of you. You just haven't been to bed yet. That's not bad. There's been a couple times. That's been about what time I went to bed. No, it hasn't been too bad lately. Like I said, been working so hard. I've been going to bed at a somewhat decent time. I mean, yeah, I'm still rocking in my sleep, but I'm sleeping, and that's a good thing. But I see people coming in. Yes, tonight will be a good one. It's a replay of Where is Kayla Berg, and then she's got a good one for Tuesday night at 10:15. And like I said, I'll put it up at the end. And pitch black. I'm a insomniac. I'm not an insomniac. I wish I was. It'd be better than waking up every 15 minutes because I rock so hard in my bed that I fall out or bang the bed against the wall or something. But yeah, I'm basically am too, I guess. No, but like I said, I've been working a lot, trying to get a lot done and trying to get myself back up. There's not much I can do about the voice until I go and see the doctors. So 15 here. It is actually 19 here now. Are you getting snow, Jules? We've been getting snow off and on all night. Now, Gemma got snow today, and she'll probably get more tomorrow. I guess she'll get it tomorrow, probably toward the evening, afternoon, evening. It was kind of scary coming home from little guy's basketball game. But yeah. And I thank all you folks for coming in. Just make sure you hit that like. That's all I ask. Other than that, and subscribe. I should be here next Saturday, on the good Lord willing, and we should be here Friday at 8 o'clock, as far as I know. So, but I will be here Tuesday night at 10:15 for the premiere of hers. Like I said, it's about the mysterious death of Ray Riviera, if I say his name right. So that'll be a good one. They're not very long, so it'll be a nice little break. I've had flurries off and on. It was about a half inch on the ground. We got a good snow. It's pretty much melted. Now we just kind of, it dusts it and then melts away, then dusts it and melts away. So, yeah, we haven't got that kind of snow yet. Though we did get a pretty good snowfall a couple weeks ago. It was nice. I even went sledding. So, and got yelled at for doing it, but who cares? It's fun to watch all the little kids watch this old man get on a sled. I still have my Red Ryder. I still use it. So, yeah. Anybody got anything exciting going on? I know I got a few extra people watching tonight. If you got anything going on, let us know in the chat. Got a link, drop it in the chat. No, if it's legit, I'll repost it. That way it posts. Been awake for 2 days now, so I might go to bed soon. So what scary stuff are we going on? I'm going to do one of her mysteries. I mean, I can do a scary one if you guys would prefer a scary one. I don't have a problem with that. I was just going to do, I'm pretty open. I just try to pick one to go start with, which was Where is Kayla Berg. And this is from May 6, 2021. It's all up in the thing, but I know some of you guys come in, so you missed that. But I can do a scary one, or maybe one of the old listener encounters or something if you guys prefer. I should wish for a mysterious death or some, or just, I can't even say that. That's pretty sad. I've tried to unceremoniously kill. I always tell my kids, if you see me sleeping and I ain't moving for more than an hour, you better check me. So, yeah. But, yeah, that'll be the scoop tonight. I mean, like I said, I can do a stereo thing, and I'll start it here in a little bit. But if you want me to do a scary one, you got to let me know, and I'll go pick one out. Tell me one of your... I would like to, but my voice is not the best right now. I don't want to push it until I see the doctors. I still have one more doctor I got to see. And too much talking really takes a toll on me. Well, I'd love to. But I can do one of the listener encounters. If I can remember which ones are mine, you can hear one of my old ones from one of the old listener encounters. I think they're one of the older ones. Let me check. It's been a while. That way I wouldn't have to talk a lot. She can do all the talking for me. One sec. Let me go back. I think it's an earlier one. Oh, not that old. Let me go way back here a couple of years. So how's everybody doing? Oh, like I said, I would if I could. Hopefully in about a month or two, I might be able to last a little longer. I know you do, Slow-Mo. I believe Blue has a couple. There's quite a few that have you in here. Go see when you see what's attached to people. Is it a full-blown detailed thing? Or it's usually a shadow. It's usually a black shadow. Sometimes I can see what it is, but it's usually, you can call me Ghosty, that's fine. It's usually a black mass, look, it will take shape. Uh, there have been times when I've seen some detail. I don't like to go into those because some of them are pretty whacked out. Some of these things I've seen attached to people, when I do actually get to see the thing, is not pretty. They're usually kind of like the spider thing I saw. It had a human head, and the body was like a spider, and the legs, they weren't like spider legs. They were like human legs all stretched out. It was creepy, dude. It was creepy. And it's not they scare me. It's just I don't like talking about it because sometimes I feel like when I talk about them, I end up seeing them again. So, yeah. But yeah, I would like to. Let me get this voice thing taken care of and find out what they're going to do. See what they can do. Yeah, I know I'm sitting in the dark talking to you guys. One sec. But yeah. Because I know that was one of the reasons I was doing Wednesday nights was to tell stories, but everybody just got to talking. It's, let me get there. I'm getting there. Let me find them. 2 years. I know one of them's at least 3 years old. But yeah, today's, me rolling around in the attic and stuff. I just didn't want to push it. It's, one sec. Let me, nah. It's interesting, Jules, because sometimes, a lot of times, like when they're figures, they're usually just a solid black mass. I've seen wispy ones. I've seen ones that were kind of a gray. And then there's ones I don't know what they are. Like I said, I see 3 types. I see like angelical or demon. Then I see, I want to say they're human spirits. That's what's left of a human spirit a lot of times. And then I see these things, I don't know what they are. Those are usually, they're kind of like, they're like really dark. They're black can be. It's like if you stood at the blackness of it to blackness, it's still kind of, you'd see it because it stands out. That's how black it is. It's just weird. And they're usually taller, real tall, and they kind of always seem to be looking down on the person. They're always like about 7 or 8, 9, 10, 11 feet tall. I've seen one that looked like he was like 50. I mean, it was huge. That was when I was a kid. That one kind of shook me a little bit because it literally looked like a shadow giant. It was creepy. It was very creepy. I've been trying not to talk about it too much because I'm trying to change my ways a little bit because I still see this stuff every time I go out. And with the way and the state of this world right now, I'm really, and I know I'm not the only one that's seeing it, that there's a lot of people that have a lot of attachments, and they're showing them to the people that can see them, and it's creepy as crap. I have literally tried to stay away from going to the store the last couple of days because the last time I went to the store, I was overwhelmed. I wasn't scared, just overwhelmed. I just got in and got out. It was just, ooh, still makes me feel that way. 1 second. I'm trying to find, I lost them. The listener encounters. I can remember which ones were which. I had them written down at one time. So how is everybody doing? I hope everybody's having a good weekend. Hope you all had a good week. I do miss my Wednesdays, though. I noticed that people's souls have started turning dark and running. I don't know about that, Jules. I really can't elaborate on that, but no, they're not always scary. No, I've seen wonderful things too. That's true, Latra. I think what you're seeing is you're seeing the people that have made a decision. We're being divided right now between good and evil. I don't think people realize that. And that's what's happening is we're being divided right now. We're being made to make a choice. So that might be what you're seeing, because it does kind of, the people that are not making the greatest choices, they're kind of rotting away. The goodness is rotting away. That's left in them. What's left in them? That's how I see it. That's my opinion. 1 second here. I think I may have found one. Oops, sorry about that. Okay, that's not the one. Now I got to start over again because I'm going through the catalog and it makes you start all over again. Now let's just find something and watch it. I don't want to do too new a one. I like to do ones at least older than 2 years. I wonder if those shadows relate to the personal's link to the cloud consciousness. That's an interesting thought. A lot of the ones that I've seen, especially the bad ones, are definitely attachments. There are ones where I can tell that the person has done something very, very bad in their life, and that's their attachment for that sin, as one might put it. I'm Irish. You can try to scare me. I will scare right. Yeah, it's me too. And I'm Irish, a little bit of Irish, but we're mostly Vikings. We came up through the islands and all of that stuff. So there's a little good mix of us in there. But yeah, I don't scare easy. But then again, when you look at stuff every time you walk out the door or walk into a store or a party, you kind of get used to it. You kind of become numb from it. And now I just categorize everything as I see it. But lately I've seen some things over the past 2 years that have made me nervous and really worry about us as a race and what's to come. Because it's obvious. Where'd this go? I can do more encounters with creepy pale humanoids. You want to do that one? It's only like 23 minutes. Yeah, that's what this is about, is the premieres. And Cockshell Indian. I'm a pretty good mix of where the actual clan, our clan, and it is a clan. We are from Norway. And we broke away from okay, sounds good, Slow-Mo. When we broke away from the Viking clan, we scattered according to our genealogy. And a lot of us, our Davis name, I can't even pronounce the real name, but the Davis name was given us at Rikers, because they gave basic names. I think that equals drunk and angry redneck. That sounds like a good one. I'll do that one. Stop. Sorry about that. Okay. Okay, well, we're going to go ahead and do, not the one I picked, but I can do that afterwards. More encounters with creepy pale humans. Always like these anyways. Now, this one is 3 years old, from September 29th, 2022. It's about 23 minutes long because I never play the whole ending. And let me know if the sound is good and everything. And when I get it all ready to go here, I'll get it. It's pretty much ready. So let me make it big screen, if it'll let me. Oh, it keeps wanting to take up the whole screen. Why is it doing that? Why does it want to do that? Okay, let me do this. Get on here. I got to share it. Share it to Barrett. Barrett to share it. Okay, share screen. Share. There we go. Ah, that's the whole. No, that's not what I wanted. Hey, there you guys are. There you go. I took the wrong one. Share screen. There we go. That was funny. Yep, they did, didn't they? Here. Okay, there we go. Make it big. Give it a start. If there's any sound problems, please let me know. I usually turn off my microphone so I can chat with you folks in chat.
And some of you were a little upset or kind of annoyed
that
I had labeled them that because apparently the pale entities that crawl are different, allegedly, than the ones that do not crawl around. So to keep things simple and friendly this time, I decided to just title all of the encounters with these things, regardless of how they get around, pale humanoids. I also covered an encounter or two with them coming out of cornfields or being spotted on the side of an extremely desolate road somewhere, in some isolated rural areas, near woods of some kind, somewhere out there in the world. My point is that they're coming up in my research more and more lately, even when I'm researching and writing about something completely and totally different altogether. I admit, with everything I've seen, come into contact with, and experienced throughout my life, one of the more bizarre and creepy, I'll admit to that it's unexpected whenever I come across one, are these pale entities, these pale humanoid creature things. Like the Glimmer Man, they are something I believe have been around forever, but only now in this modern age of tech and instant video are we starting to hear about them. As I always say, the paranormal, otherworldly, supernatural, and extraterrestrial do not discriminate, and these beings are certainly no different, as I have come across report after report, and each person in place couldn't have possibly been more different. Sure, there are some elements to the encounters that stay the same throughout almost all of the encounters, but there are also some very noticeable differences both with the entities themselves and the people reporting to have encountered them. So here are just a few more encounters with these kind of spectral, mostly bipedal, humanoid-shaped things that seem to be invading our lives, and mainly, not exclusively, but mainly our more rural areas in the last few decades. So without further ado, let's jump right in. Our first encounter comes from a rural area of Arkansas in the United States, and it happened in 2008. Our witness claims to have only been 12 years old at the time, and he lived in a small and somewhat modest home that sat on an acre of land completely surrounded by dense woods and not much else. The area was literally described by the witness as, quote, the boondocks, end quote. There was only one way in or out of this land his house stood on, and that was a very narrow, unpaved dirt road / trail that was kind of gravelly, that anyone wanting to come or go had to travel on this road. The road actually kind of wandered off too, leading its travelers through the dense woods and trees. There were like some, I guess, off-road trails from how I understood it. It would look to someone who didn't know any better that there was no way out, and the whole house in the surrounding area had a creepy and somewhat off-feeling vibe to begin with when you're there. Somewhere back in the woods, deep within the heavily forested area around the home, there allegedly sat a long abandoned slaughterhouse and a burned down home that was also unoccupied for as long as at least our witness could remember. The witness described this area as, quote, mystical and special, end quote, and we have no idea whether or not the abandoned places in the woods had anything to do with anything else going on inside of them or the home occupied by the then 12-year-old boy and his family. He said he had an argument with his parents one night, and as he almost always did, in order to collect his thoughts and cool off, he went outside to lie down on the trampoline and stargaze. There just happened to have been a full moon out that night, and our witness says that he was the only one at all that was out there. He said of the incident, quote, so I'm lying on the trampoline, and other than the moon, there isn't any light aside from the porch light, which is quite a ways behind me. All of a sudden, I vaguely see something move. It's coming from the lot across the dirt road, and it's coming toward me. We had a Boston Terrier at the time, and as I figured, it was him. But as it got closer, I knew that's not what it was. It was sickly pale. It walked on all fours with its hands, but seemed to be able to walk upright. It's kind of galloping toward me on all fours, and it's a little bit of ways at this point, but getting closer. The light bounced off of its skin, and it almost seemed to look wet. Its gait and color is pretty clear to me, but I don't remember anything distinct about its face except that it just seems to be whitewashed to me. It's happening so fast, and now it's right near me, still running, and then I can't see it. It's under the trampoline, and then I feel it. I feel it push up the trampoline. I didn't even bother to look back as I ran back to my house. I don't remember my thought process at all past this point, but my mom has told me that I came into the house hollering and absolutely terrified. I've thought about this consistently over the years, and as I've gotten older, have seen stories of similar creatures. I used to describe it as kind of looking like Gollum from Lord of the Rings. I think of the creature kind of in a fond way. It would never have occurred to me at the time, but it's almost had a playful vibe to it, and it makes me sad to think that it might be just some lonely, semi-intelligent creature. Maybe it's a grotesque experiment or some off-kilter evolutionary line. I don't think that's impossible. I guess I like to let my imagination run wild with it, though. I will always be curious about this and that place in general, end quote. This struck me as odd because I never came across or encountered anyone having these types of feelings about these types of entities. While there's definitely a first time for everything, and I definitely don't claim to know it all, I am very qualified to make at least an educated guess and say that there may have been some sort of mind control or telepathic suggestion, like glimmering, whatever you want to call it, taking place here. Only our witness didn't exactly stick around to wait and see what happened. And I have a strong feeling that might have been the thing that saved his life, or at least saved him from some kind of severe trauma. He's right about one thing, though. Hear me out. What if this thing and many of the others are simply scared, lonely, confused, or all of the above? That actually makes it sad. Our next encounter is a bit vague as to where it took place. And I mean, we can only put so much stock and belief into random internet encounters as it is. And I've noticed most people are more likely to believe in an encounter depending on how much back information is available about what happened and the creature itself. So try to stay with me here and at least give the encounters I bring to you on this channel a chance. Like, that's all I ask. So this encounter allegedly happened in 2012 in a very desolate and rural farm area in the Bible Belt here in the United States. Shocker. There were creepy and dense woods surrounding the area, walking trails, and a few water sources like ponds, brooks, maybe even a lake. Typical southern United States backwoods, right? There was a stable right near the property the house he lived on was settled on, and he would go there quite often in order to care for and ride the horses. He said the scenery was peaceful and relaxing and even brought him a sense of serenity and comfort as he walked to the stables, and once he was riding his favorite horse through the woods and trails, he was completely calm. That is until this happened. So listen to what he had to say about his encounter with these pale humanoids. Quote, one evening around 5 p.m., I was sitting on her, letting her stand when she started snorting and backing up. I looked up and saw this white/gray creature crawling out of the woods toward us. It had a very small round head. Its eyes were just pits. It had a very small mouth, not much detail there. Its arms were very long and thin. Fingers were also like that. Its rib cage was very pronounced and defined, and its legs were long and lanky. Its movements were very jerky, not smooth and fluid. It slowly jerked out to us when my horse turned and bolted out of the arena. She's a dead broke, calm, well-mannered horse who never spooked like this before. Stubborn old mare, but not spooked. She would not go back into the arena that night. I walked her around the barnyard, staying near the main barn, put her up, and ran out to peek into the arena to find nothing except some footprints where I saw the thing, end quote. So here is yet another encounter where this pale creature has these strange, creepy, and kind of jerky-like movements. In the last video, the entity was described as, quote, moving in pieces. When I got this image in my head, I couldn't help but picture how in the late or mid-90s, movies like The Ring and Stir of Echoes started showing their evil or ghostly characters moving in this way. I will never forget, never, the first time I actually saw this in one of those movies and freaked out. I don't know why, but to me, it was so scary. And I believe it was Stir of Echoes where I first saw this jerky kind of, I can't even do it. Like, it really scared me. And it stuck with me when I heard these encounters. Do any of you know what I'm talking about? Bueller? Anybody? Let me know in the comments below, please, as always. That was not the end of this encounter, though, as our witness states that this strange creature thing, entity, whatever it was, would stalk the woods surrounding the house and property right along the tree line and even deeper into the thick of the woods as well. One time he said he was outside on his property running one of his horses along the fence line, and as he looked over to the other side of the fence, he saw this thing running fast enough to keep up with the horse, and it was right directly on the other side of the fence. That has got to be creepy. He continued, quote, I continued seeing it mainly in the woods, but it was always around. Summer of 2013, the bar shut down when the owner died. We moved the horses to a friend's place for the time being, and I didn't see it there. Late summer/fall 2013, I found a new barn, woods directly behind the barn and arena. This place had lights and was much newer. About a month later, when I was getting ready to leave, I heard something in the woods. I looked down the barn aisle into the woods and saw the same creature running down the road back into the woods. I saw it much less frequently for a while until later in fall of 2014, I began seeing it in the neighbor's yard. It would sit in the same spot every day and just watched me ride. I started taking pictures, which are very poor and crappy, and sent them to a friend who claimed he and some others have seen the same entity. I kept seeing it occasionally, but from a much greater distance than at the first barn. I went with this barn owner to another farm to get some stuff when I saw a very, very large version of this creature run out from the woods right behind a tree I was 10 feet from while I was alone by the trailer. Last November, I house sat for the barn owners. I went out at around 2 a.m. to fill water troughs and enjoy the full moon and cool night. I was sitting in the back pasture when 3 of these creatures began coming from the woods. One came up to the trees near the trough where I was. The other 2 were walking the tree line. The horses were silently munching their hay pretty far from where the creatures were. I messaged the guy from earlier and I told him what was going on. Since that incident, I haven't really seen them. Last summer, I did see one outside of my house staring into the windows. A few weeks ago, one was outside of my bedroom windows tapping and making a strange, faint shrieking sound. End quote. Wow. So I couldn't get the extremely blurry and nonsensical looking pictures up for you guys because I suck with editing. But take my word for it, to call them inconclusive would be the understatement of the century. It did nothing to lend credibility to our witnesses' claims that it's basically just another one where we have to decide whether or not to take the witness's statement for it. I believe it, but then again, I almost always do, so that's not saying much. Some people, though, have suggested that this man didn't encounter a pale entity or unknown creature at all, but that perhaps he was seeing some sort of spirit or ghost. I don't know, guys. It's really hard because to me, there's even a difference between spirit and ghost. Like when I look at one or the other, I see them and I know which is which, but I have to try to remember that not everybody can do that. And so to me, it's weird that he wouldn't know the difference. But I guess normally that's probably not so bizarre at all. Our next encounter comes from another very rural farm area that's surrounded by some really dense and creepy woods. Our witness was 15 at the time and was in his bedroom with all of the lights turned off. It was pitch black dark, and he was about to close his blinds. As he got up to do this, he saw something very strange and terrifying outside of his bedroom window. He said it was a, quote, pure white, almost glowing man/thing, end quote, and that it was literally glaring at him, like staring him down very kind of devilishly. It seemed to me as though he immediately sensed the evil emanating from it, even at that point. He said, quote, it was crouched down kind of in a Spider-Man pose, and I believe it had larger black eyes, not like something you see from the Greys, but it was a feature that stood out to me. It was very muscular. I distinctly remember seeing well-defined arm muscles. It seemed just very muscular in general. It wasn't too thin. It was strong looking. I don't know how tall it was because it was crouched down looking up at me. I don't remember if its head appeared larger than an average human's head, but I remember it was very, very bald. When I saw this creature, I screamed for my mom. She came to the window and saw something that startled her too, and ran downstairs out to our back porch and yelled, "Who's out there? Come out!" I remember standing behind my mother, nervous with fear. We went back to my room and looked out the window, and it was gone. I have this weird feeling that someday I'll see it again. I'm not sure why. I just feel it, end quote. I came across one that's a lot like this one and documented with the National Cryptid Society. The only location I could see was the Midwestern United States. So basically, again, and as usual, seemingly, the middle of nowhere, and the humanoid was creeping around outside of a window of a darkened room inside of some dense woods that surrounded the window itself. The witness explains, quote, when I was in 6th grade, I looked out the living room window and saw a white reflection. My mom grabbed a flashlight and looked out the window. She could see some white animal crawling around on the ground in the clearing by our house. It was approximately raccoon size, but white, and apparently able to get 3 feet up to the window. The next morning before sunrise, I was letting my dog outside. He ran to the garage door and began barking and growling, completely out of character for him. I stepped around the door frame and saw an approximately 5-foot tall pale being with 2 huge glowing eyes and some form of round glowing item where the mouth or neck should be. Mouth or neck? My sixth grade self screamed, turned, and ran back inside, leaving my mother and Zog out to fend for themselves. By the time my mom figured out what had happened and I calmed down enough to come back out, the thing was gone. To this day, I'm terrified of the woods surrounding their house at night. When I visit, I leave before sunset or have someone walk me to my car. It's been over 15 years. I would also like to add that I don't believe in aliens or ghosts or anything, but I have no clue what these things were. End quote. Though they're all interesting to me, this one stood out because it was multiple entities and they seem to look different from one another and be different sizes and things like that. But it also sounds to me like a certain kind of trickster I once ran into, which wasn't associated with Native American tribes like most of them are. So I noticed the lighter ones not associated with the Native Americans. Darker ones are. And I don't mean that like good and evil. I mean literally light and dark. However, I wasn't there and there were no pictures, so I'll really never know for sure either. To me, the stories about these particular entities and some others are so much easier for me to believe because the entities and stories of encounters with them are so unknown that for all of these people to come out with all of these encounters, some who did so decades later and still remember every single detail, all independently of one another, that's pretty spectacular. There's probably a forum or two with encounters just like these, but nothing like, say, for Glimmerman or Bigfoot. I also appreciate the fact that these things are so unknown because you could imagine if these things, sightings of and encounters with them, were the next unknown thing everyone's talking about and encountering. Like what happened with Glimmerman like 2 years ago, where like suddenly everyone was seeing the Glimmerman, the predator entity. Could you imagine? I don't know. All I do know is that I do not want to look outside of my windows at night and into the dense and scary woods that surround my house and see anything other than trees and maybe like a coyote. As with everything else we uncover here on this channel, though, before we get into our last encounter, I will ask you guys, to what end? Are they also entities that are feeding on us? It doesn't seem like it, but I can't really pretend to know what they're after. What do they want? It's that question that haunts me every time I come across any type of new entity. And by that, I just mean new to us here in this community. The thing is from outer space, from another dimensional realm, from the spiritual realm, or somewhere altogether different, and their malevolence simply oozes and creeps off of them. And that is what terrifies me. In Big Bear Lake in California in 2017, at a Best Western motel, and at around midnight, our witness was going from the lobby of the motel where she had just checked in to her car to grab her luggage so she could bring it up to her room and get settled in. It wasn't only dark and freezing outside, but it was also snowing. Our witness was hurrying to just go and grab her bag so she could hurry back into the motel, get into her room, and get comfortable. She was a bit distracted by the cold and was just trying to get there, get done. I'll let her explain it. Quote, "It had been snowing and it was extremely dark. My car was facing a country road. When I hit the unlock button on my car, the parking and interior lights came on. This allowed me to see two eyes reflecting in the middle of the road about 10 to 15 feet from me. At first, I thought it was a deer. I've lived in Colorado and I'm pretty accustomed to spotting wildlife. I instantly stopped and remained still as I didn't want to scare off what I thought was a deer. As my eyes glanced downwards, I noticed it wasn't a deer. It looked like a white, hairless, naked man on all fours. It was at least 4 feet in height on all fours, probably around 15 feet if it stood up. There was a brief moment as our eyes made contact. It then, as quickly as I've ever seen any animal, turned around, ran as fast as a cheetah away from me, and then straight up a tree. I was frozen in disbelief, and I said outside to myself, "You have to be effing kidding me." Just as I was going to convince myself that this couldn't possibly be happening, it leapt from the treetop to treetop, and I could see its full outline as it did so. The speed and strength it had is like nothing I've ever heard before. The creature was definitely solid. It appeared as if it were coming toward me, possibly like it was hunting me. I don't know what stopped it. Was it the lights that went on? It had no visible genitalia. It had very human-like qualities. None of this makes sense to me. The speed, agility of the creature, and there shouldn't be any way that the treetop should have been able to hold the weight of this particular creature. It appeared to be flashing like a TV going in and out of reception as it sprinted up the tree. It also didn't appear to disrupt the foliage as it did so, end quote. Okay. There's a lot going on in this, right? So most of the time, or at least I can say from what I've researched and brought to you guys in videos, these things look sickly. They look almost like dead, zombified, right? So the point where people are mistaking them for ghosts or ghouls, right? I actually think there's some sort of actual ghoul, right? So, okay. This one was flickering in and out like a TV, which reminds me of the static entity, which if you guys didn't see that, I will try to leave a link in the description box. And if I can, but I always forget, I'll leave it up here for you guys. So, okay. Or maybe up there. I don't know which way. Then it reminds me of the Glimmer Man because it didn't disturb anything that it was touching, right? The predator entity. And then we have that's 15 feet tall. So it's some sort of giant, but its eyes were, guys, I would love to get in touch with this woman. I don't even have 3,000 subs yet, but listen, lady, if you wrote this. So, all right, you guys definitely have to let me know what you think about all these encounters, but definitely this one. So I was going to end this here, but I found one that takes place somewhere other than the woods and wanted to share this one as well. I've got to say that these things and some other creatures I've been researching lately, like road trolls or even like the encounters of the pale crawlers on the side of the road, whatever, like entities on the side of the road, they seem to like the state of Illinois. Anyway, our witness was in rural Illinois, and some of you guys may have heard this one. It comes from someone calling themselves Nate, who told his story on the July 15th, 2016 episode of Coast to Coast AM. Nate said he was a truck driver. He was driving along a desolate road in Illinois and was heading east on Interstate 80 through Illinois. He said, quote, I had stayed the afternoon in Des Moines to get some sleep, and I got a fresh 8 hours of sleep, and I had just got on the road. It was about dusk and the sun was just about to set, and I was driving and I seen a figure just ahead of me on I-80, and it was right on the side of the road. When I say right on the side of the road, I don't mean in the grass. Its toes were right on the white line. I slowed down a little bit to kind of see what was going on there and maybe avoid it. When I got about 50 yards from it, I got down to about 50 miles per hour and I could see it clear. I had my brights on and everything. It was a man. Well, it looked like a man, about maybe 5'9" or 5'10". Couldn't have been more than 100 pounds soaking wet. And when I got up to him, he looked at me, and George, I kid you not, he had no eyes, no mouth, no nostrils. There was no orifice on his face. He was pale white, no hair, no features whatsoever. It looked like a skeleton with bleached white skin. He was just kind of standing there looking right at me. I slowed down, and as soon as I seen his face, he looked up at me. Boy, I flipped the hammer down from Illinois all the way to Chicago. I never looked back. My blood ran cold. My hair stood up. It was one of the most disturbing things I'd ever seen in my life, end quote. We all know that truck drivers have had some pretty insane, intense, terrifying, bizarre, creepy, strange, you name it, encounters while out there on the road. And actually, I'm working on a script for another truck driver encounters video. So what do you guys think? Is this an entity all its own, or are they all a different thing, considering these encounters and the other ones? Are they otherworldly, extraterrestrial, supernatural, demonic, spirit, ghost, or something else altogether? Time travelers from another dimension or realm? I mean, I don't know. Anything's possible because we really don't know. That's all I have for you today, guys. Please give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed spending this time with me, if you enjoyed the content, and if you just want to make me happy. Spread the love by sharing this video, and please subscribe if you haven't already. If you haven't already, what are you waiting for?
Okay, I'm back. Now, bear with me. I think Coast to Coast started to lose respect the day Art died. I think it did too, to be quite honest. It just keeps swirling down. Yeah. Coast to Coast is not, the same without Art. He made the show. He was the show. It was never as good as Art's show. Yeah. See, I agree. I totally agree. I totally agree. Art was the show. People loved Art. He was a good guy. From what I've understood. I said I'd tell you a story. I'd tell you a story. Just bear with my voice, the stuttering pauses, okay? Just to keep me from choking on my own words. We had gone down to Athens for the Halloween. Athens University in Athens, Ohio. It's a creepy town anyways. A lot of lore into it. If you ever get curious, just Google Athens, Ohio. Anyways, one of the last years I went like The last 2 years I went, we really didn't drink. We just went down there to hang out and have a party. We didn't get drunk like we did in the past. We just kind of hung out. Well, the second to last time we decided to stay, do Mel's Hole. I'll let her know to look into that because Mel's Hole is an interesting subject. Because I think if you watch, to pause for a minute on my story, if you pause for a minute and go, if you don't watch Monarch with the Godzilla series, Monarch, they have these rifts in the hole that they have in the ground. I swear they stole that idea from Mel's Hole. The portals. And I honestly think that's what Mel's Hole is. But I will tell her to pull that up and do it. Because she'd find that interesting. If she hadn't done already, I don't think she has. She may have, but I don't think she has. I'll have to go look. But anyways, we had gone down to the Halloween party and decided to get a campground since we weren't going to be drinking a whole lot in the around the university area. And so we got this campground just a little south of the campus area, back in a little nook. And they were fairly cheap, not the greatest place, but it was clean. The showers and stuff were clean. We stayed for the weekend. Where that Saturday night we came back from hanging out with all the craziness in Athens and the university area. We had back about 10 o'clock. It just got real crazy because for a while they were getting worse to the point where I think not much after. They still have them, but it's not as crazy as they used to. But we go out and we go back to the campgrounds. It's a nice little campground. They're pretty close. It's not a very big place. So you could, you had your campground. You know how sometimes you have like a little band of trees between each place or bushes. And the one on the left didn't have anybody there. And I'm trying to make sure I get this right. And the one on the right were more friends of ours that met us down there. There was across the little street, if you wanted to call it that, was a group of, I don't know where they were from. I think if I remember right, they were from like Cincinnati. And then there was pretty much empty ones, and there was a bunch of people down at the other end, mostly young people. In fact, I think all of it was young people. But there was a creek behind our tent, our area. You could hear the water. So me and a buddy, I'll say, OU at Athens, yeah. Never learned anything about it. Maybe instead of doing Gemma's replays next Saturday, we'll talk about Athens because it's an interesting place. There's a old mental health care center down there that they closed down and actually left a girl, and she passed in the place after they left the place. They never went back to look for her. When they finally realized she was gone, she left a stain on the floor because that's how they found her, all curled up on the ball. It's creepy, dude. Anyways, the stain is still there, as far as I know. I haven't been down there for a few years. So, anyways, so me and this buddy decided to go down and check out the creek. We got our flashlights from walking around. Not much going on. Nice creek, though. Nice little babbling creek. Just like you'd see anywhere. And we sat down. I had a cigarette, and he drank a beer. We were just shooting the crap, and a couple of other people came down to check on us. So it was like four of us, and one of the girls, and another, I think it was her boyfriend. And we're just sitting there along the creek, just kind of in the dark. We weren't even near the campfire. It was just a flashlight and us. And we're just down there talking, sitting on a bunch of rocks and tree stumps, just shooting the crap. We weren't being loud, just talking. And it got real quiet. All of us got real quiet. We noticed there was like no sound. You couldn't hear the people behind us, the other campgrounds, nothing, it got quiet. I mean, dead quiet. And I looked at everybody and go, you know what that means? And they all looked at me like, what? I go, listen. They're like, where's everybody at? I got quiet. I go, yeah, that's not a good sign. So I stood up and go, I think it's time to go back to the campground. And the girl goes, why, what's up? And I said, when it gets quiet like that, dead quiet like that, something bad's going to happen, or something's out there that shouldn't be out there. I said, let's go. Because, you know, I'm already at that age where I was ghost hunting and stuff like that. And we get up, everybody starts to get up, and we all start heading back. And all of a sudden, we hear this. And we realized it was splashing water, like something was running back and forth across the creek. So I turned around, and the girl had the flashlight because it made her feel secure. So we gave her the flashlight. She turned around, started shining the flashlight up and down the creek. And then we saw it. This thing was exactly what you'd think in a hair growth. It wasn't white. It was like a dirty white gray. It looked kind of muddy. It looked like it crawled out of something. And it hit the water, and it came to a complete stop standing in the water. It had, you know, just like everybody, it wasn't skinny, like bone skinny. It had tone. The arms were extra long, not too long, but they were long. Or, I mean, if it put down by the side, it touched its knees without bending over. The legs were kind of long, but toned too. I mean, it looked like, you know, a runner, like a skinny runner. But it was, we couldn't tell how tall it was because it was down on all fours. And it kind of looked up at us right in the light, and it squinted its eyes, and then it reopened its eyes, and the eyes weren't red. They were yellow. And I went, what the hell is that? And I go, and I kind of took a step toward it. Back then, you didn't hear of rakes. This was before the rake, before creepypastas and all this stuff. And somebody goes, what the hell is that thing? I go, I don't know, but I think we guys need to back off. So we start backing up, and it starts chirping or squawking and taking real kind of, not baby steps, kind of like, yeah, I would say like baby steps. And then it would stop. It wouldn't jerk it. It would just take these little steps and stop and look at us and kind of tilt its head like this. And I go, and I said, and she held that light up right in its face and went like this. And as soon as that light hit its face, kind of backed up and squealed real loud. And she goes, get out of here, you crazy mother. And that thing turned around and it booked. And it booked so fast. We were like, holy crap. I mean, it didn't jump. It just booked. Watch the language, please. It just booked. That girl, I don't think that girl ever forgot that night, nor those guys. The only reason that made me impressed was when it booked, it stood up. And when it stood up, it was probably about 6'8", 6'9". I mean, it was tall. I think that's what freaked her out. And when it stood up and turned around, it dropped right down, back down on its floors. Oh, you're fine. Just please watch the language. I mean, yeah, she did last Friday, but she kind of paid for that too. So nobody monetized her for it. So I'm not too worried about it. I just try to keep it somewhat clean because I tend to cuss too. So it's not a big thing. Just kind of keep an eye on it. And it's good. It's late night anyways. Not too many people are here anyways. But we get back up to the camp, and the other two guys that were still sitting there started going, what's going on? You guys are freaked out. And he goes, you didn't hear anything? And they go, no. We were down there talking, and what are you guys doing? And she's like, you won't believe what we just saw. This thing was freaking crazy. What'd you see? And she tries to describe it to the guy. And then the guys in the campground and the camp next to us are hearing us. And one of them comes up and goes, you saw it too? And the girl goes, yeah. And I go, yeah, we saw it. And she goes, why? Well, they had beat us there. They were there a day ahead of us. And apparently that Thursday night, they saw it running up and down the creek. And the guy said it looked like it was trying to catch minnows or something out of the creek. Because it'd crawl down and it'd stick its face in the water, then run off. And he said it freaked them out. But they didn't see it until they didn't ever see it again until, we just told him we saw it that Saturday night. And every time I've seen these things, it's usually in a forest around creeks where I know there's caves. But there's a story that always bothered me. Now, this is not my story. A friend of mine lives downtown Columbus. And he's not a drinker. He's kind of like me. When he goes out with friends, he usually the designated driver. And he called me one day and goes, I got to tell you something. I know you're into this stuff, and I know you've seen stuff like this. Because, Steve, I got to tell you this. He had taken his wife down for dinner to a restaurant down in town. And when they left, they were walking back to the parking garage. And, we have manhole covers and then, drains, but they're not like open grades or anything. And he said as they came around the corner, what he said it sounded like a manhole, manhole cover hitting the ground. He said it was hard and it sounded just like that. And he goes, we've all pulled them up and looked down the drains before because it sounded just like that. It scared the wife. So when we came around the corner to see if it was what it was, he said it was tilted, like it was been lifted up and it wasn't laying flat. So he walked over with the wife. He was on so nobody fall on it. He pushed it back down. Or as they started walking away, he heard it move again. And as they turned around, he said it lifted up on the ground. And he said it looked like it was sitting on something's head. And he could see these eyes. He said it was a solid white face. And the eyes were kind of, he said they looked gold in the light from the street light. And he said as soon as it kind of saw them, it dropped. And he said that manhole cover just goes boink. And he said they both took off. And they had never run so hard in their lives. But it's all good, Slow. You're good, man. I'm just two dudes having a bit. Yeah. But yeah, these creatures. Now, Ryan used to say there's not rakes. They're all pale crawlers. But, I'm hearing more and more people. Because I always said when I see these things, there is ones that I've seen that look totally different from. But now that I'm noticing and hearing the stories, especially after what happened to that guy on the road in South Carolina with the truck, where that thing jumped in his truck. See, that sounded like one of the things I've seen, but it didn't look like a person when I first saw it. But man, these things are crazy, and I've seen them at least 6 times, 7 times in my life, and they're always really creepy looking, and they move real fast. And I will say, everyone I've seen, there was only maybe 1 or 2 that maybe looked alike. They all have this, like us, they're all kind of different. But I personally think, my opinion is they're either demons or a cryptid that we don't know about, or an entity that lives under the ground that it's weird. And I don't like, my opinion on things pretty biblical. So you have to take that into my way I think. But I don't know, but it was creepy the way he told the story. You could see it in his eyes that thing, when he said it looked like that man cover was literally sitting on top of his head, like he lifted it up with his head. And he goes, do you know how strong you have to be to do something like that? I go, well, I don't know how deep that manhole is. He could, if just think how big he might have been. And the guy stopped because I never thought about that. Do you think you get targeted, Ghost? Sometimes, yes, especially when I'm in public. I used to think they don't see me, but there have been times over the last 2 to 3 years that I think some do see me seeing them. And it's kind of creepy because they've never bothered me. But I will admit, around Halloween time, I do tend to wake up with a lot of bruises and stuff, and it's only around Halloween. So the last Halloween wasn't too bad because I've like Gemma, have become more faithful in my Christianity, and I think that's a little bit why. But yeah, there were Halloweens I'd wake up and have arm handprints or look like somebody burnt me with cigarettes. And when I have contact, even not at that time frame, it's always like they leave me a burn mark on my arm. Always, always. You know, like what happened in the carryout not too long ago. When it touched me, when that got up here, and that thing reached out and didn't like the fact that I was trying to be nice to that guy, and it touched me, it left. It looked like a cigarette had burned me. So I guess in a way now I do at times feel like I'm targeted, but it's only when they notice that I can see them. Because the majority of the time, I don't think they do. I really don't. That's like the black-eyed kid I see at the doctor's office. You know, I still see him every time I go to the hospital. Now, there's been times I've gone and haven't seen him, but I still see him every so often. And I know he doesn't see me. But the day I chased him for 20 minutes before I left, because I couldn't say I wasn't going to pay for all-day parking. So I had to leave. And I was falling into a place of the hospital if I gotten caught. And if I'd gone through that door, I probably would have gotten in trouble. So, but yeah, I followed it for 20 minutes trying to take pictures of it. I'm not going to take a picture where he doesn't show up. It's not worth it. But I tried. To. And you got to be careful because some people don't like having their picture taken. So you got to be careful how you do it. I'm going to try to be respectful. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I know there are people that are targeted. You know, there are people out there that don't know nothing. You know, I don't mean nothing, but they're normies and they're quite targeted and they don't even know it. But I'll tell you, the people that are most targeted are ghost hunters. Anybody that messes with things that open doors, like playing with Ouija boards. You can bet if you don't close it out, but when you leave that ghost hunt and cleanse yourself, you're going to be targeted. You must be ours. The more they try to bully me, the stronger I become. I'm genetically incapable of breaking. So that's the way I've become slow. I mean, since I was a kid, I've just, well, a lot of my faith has to do that, especially after I was 12 and my hair turned white. After that, it takes a lot to scare me. Though there are times, the things that freaked me out pretty bad, you know, the demon thing over in the apartment complex with that kid. I literally locked myself up for almost 2 months. Actually, there's a lot more to that story you guys don't know because it took a toll on me. And my, God bless his soul, Thomas, the preacher, he's gone now. He was surprised I even tried to take it on. That's why I called him. I go, that's why I called you. But that thing, it takes a toll on you. Even most people who see stuff or hear stuff or involved some way connected to this stuff, it takes a toll on you. I don't care how much you protect yourself, what you do to protect yourself, even having faith, it takes a toll on you. I don't think people understand that, you know. It physically does take a toll on you. Or you put yourself in bigger danger because you do become a target. Well, I try not to talk about it too much. I just opened up about it, you know, just before I met Gemma and coming in here and going to see stalking. I just started opening up. And I don't mind talking about it. Just some of the things I see over the years, it's hard to explain. I mean, you talk about stuff. When I'm talking with friends, it's different because some of them actually been with me when I've seen stuff or when stuff has happened. The group I go out with every so often, we went to a haunted house sponsored by a local radio station here. And we were in the haunted house. We're going through. It was me and a couple of high school buddies and their girlfriends and a girl I was dating at the time. And we're walking through this haunted house. And we got to this area where it's just a dark hallway. And we kept waiting for something to pop out. And nothing kept popping out. And then all of a sudden I hear the girl behind us start screaming, freaking out. And when I turned around, and when we all turned around, she's up against this wall. She is freaking out. There's nothing there. And I start walking up to her. Everybody kind of backs off her, like, did she take something or something? I'm like, no. And I start walking up to one of our friends' girlfriends, who it was. And she's freaking out. She's looking at something. She is freaking out. So as I start walking closer to her, I noticed her eyes are huge. I mean, just huge. You can, how people get when they're like freaked out. And I touched her and she jolted and she was right there. And as soon as I turned around, on the wall is a face, just distorted face. And it looked like, the eyes were literally melting out of it. I'm like, is that a hologram? Everybody comes over and they don't see it, just us two. And she's freaking out. So I had to pick her, move her, and walk her out. I don't know what was in that haunted house that night, but it was bad. And it messed with her. The poor guy couldn't get her to go out on a date for like 2 weeks before she finally came around and said, okay. But she will not go to haunted houses anymore. In fact, they got married. And when they do Halloween, she stays in. He passes out the candy and everything. She don't want nothing to do with it. And what I miss here, I get scared all the time. But I get scared to the point where I just decide to fight. Getting scared is a good thing. And sometimes when I don't get scared, it kind of bothers me because, that's an important thing to have. That's your fight or flight. But I've gotten to the point where I just fight, But in my younger days, when I saw the Hat Man and then the demon, I knew that once I got out of that apartment, I wasn't going back in it. That's why I called Thomas. Because I wasn't going back in that room. That thing was pure evil. It did not like me. And it knew something about me that I didn't know because it seemed scared of me. And that's another thing. There's times I've walked up to people freaking out and they instantly calm down. And it's like, what'd you see? And they won't tell me, but they said, it left as soon as you came up to me. And I've seen other people standing with them and still freaking out. And I walk up and they completely calm down. I tried to kick the shadow blob. Nothing. Solid broke some stereo connection. I've done that before. Went there, throw a punch at something that I was seeing in the wall in a friend's house. Totally caught me off guard. I kept seeing out of the corner of my eyes. And then his wife came in and it stood right behind her. And I jumped up and I went, wham! And I missed her head about this much, but I was aiming for it. I hit the corner of a wall. It didn't break anything. Busted up a couple busted open a couple of knuckles. What'd you do that for? And I go, I don't know what that is behind you. But I realized after I'd left, it was attached to her. I don't know what it was. But when I saw her again, it wasn't there. I'm in lockdown. Seemed like the people started seeking me out to dump their creepy critters on me to free themselves of infections and burdens. Well, that's what you do. You lock yourself down. Learn how to deal with it. Everybody deals with it differently. I don't mind people coming up and talking to me. It doesn't matter. I have that happen all the time. I don't ever worry about anybody else's stuff getting attached to me. Not like I used to. For some reason, I don't have that fear anymore. which is fine with me. I more or less worry about just bringing something home sometimes because I'm a 92-year-old man. I don't need to bring something bad home that would, take you faster. That's what these things do. They break you down. They rot you. Just like she was saying earlier. That's, again, my opinion. These are my opinions, my thoughts, my theories. And like I said, when it comes to certain things, I'm very biblical about it. And I like calling it biblical because there's some crazy stuff out there that I don't think people realize. They're in for a real big shock. But again, that's my opinion. As you know, ghosts, I am a seventh. Yeah, I know. That still freaks me out. The son born at midnight on Halloween night. Were you really born at midnight on Halloween night? That much scares me. The seventh son thing is a legit thing. People don't realize that this was something that was very practiced back in the day, especially during, the Dark Ages. And even before that, being the seventh son of the seventh son is a big thing. But being born at midnight, were you really born at midnight? Oh, crack. I didn't know that. You may have told me before, though. I knew your birthday was Halloween. I've never learned how to block from taking on physical symptoms of illness and disease from it. Well, there's a lot of ways you can learn. Those I don't practice. Mine is my faith. That may work for you, but you will have to find a way. Everybody's different. Everybody's got a knack that will help them, kind of protect them. Like I said, mine is my faith. It's always been my faith. I almost became a preacher until I was told I had a different path to walk. There are times I really wish I did become a preacher. Not that I can't now. I know many of you guys my age are now preaching, ministers. I have no reason to disbelieve. Early mother told me, so I have. It sounds reasonable. But no, Jules, it's, how can I put this without? You can go and seek advice all you want, but it will take you yourself to find your perfect defense and your perfect blocker. And it's just you experimenting with maybe what people tell you or how they tell you or things that you may read or see. Just be careful because sometimes you can block yourself off and make things worse for yourself because there's a reason why you must have this connection. Do you understand what I'm saying? Play, have a great deal of faith and believe in God. I don't see people's attachments, but I feel their sicknesses. Yeah, I understand that. Actually, there are people like that for some reason absorbs the feelings and sicknesses and the depressions of other people. I call them holy vampires. So actually, it's hard on us because I sometimes have that happen, but I'm not like that naturally. But yeah, people use you to dump their stuff because you're open to it, and then, now you just have to learn to kind of that illness, that sickness that they feel, those little critters you talk about. That's now that you know it's happening, you just have to find the right way to either block it or stop it or how to use it. I know people that use it to some degree. Now, I don't know how. My very friend, a very good friend, another friend, a friend of mine and Thomas is Patty. She's a lot like Gemma, a lot older and a little more experienced. And she's gone back to her faith too. She stopped doing readings. She stopped, she had a business. And she also worked during the day, but she also ran a side business. She had her own little storefront. She lived above and everything. And she closed it down because she had learned to block it so much, she started feeling disconnected from everything else. So she went back to her faith. It's just a matter of what you find works for you. I know that's not much help, but there's some things I'm a little hesitant on giving advice for because everybody is different. Everybody's very different in the way they approach things, feel things. What you may go through, it may be totally different than what I go through, even though it sounds the same. In my case, and you're like a couple people I know. It's just like somebody walks by, they're sick in the head or having some kind of mental illness or something. They always seem to pick up on it, and they always get stuck with it for a couple of days, then it goes away. And I've just been lucky. I get mad at myself for dumb things, but I don't like comparing myself or anything to any other people because I've lived a pretty normal life. I mean, my family was no different than anybody else's family. I mean, we had our issues, as you know. I lost a little brother. But, my life was good. I mean, I always had a home, even in the worst times. My parents, even though, they stayed married, they, stuck it out until mom left, left this plane, moved on to her next world. But, we had our problems, but we had a home. We had a father that cared and a mother that cared. As I got older, all of us, I can only imagine what, raising 6 or 7 kids. My dad is from 9 kids. I just had 3 other brothers. And you can imagine a house of boys. That's how life, but we were good. I mean, we had our ups and downs. But my mom and dad always did the best they could for us. And I appreciate that, And even though we're not rich people at all. I've always tried to make it a point to, if I see anybody in help, I try to help or try to pick up, take some physical, mental slack off of them. And things got weird. And see, that's another thing about near-life experiences. I had a near-life experience, but near-death experiences too change you. Every time you have one, it changes you. And every time I had one, it changed me. And sometimes I think for the better. Do I have my moments? Now let me get back to it. I have heard of a Camp Chesterfield. Yes, there is a Camp Chesterfield. I had a near-life experience. I have those two sometimes. Time for bed. Slow, thanks for joining us. Now, you have a wonderful day tomorrow. It was good to see you. In fact, it's been great to see everybody tonight. I mean, granted, I didn't have no big crew here, but it's always good when I have a handful of people around. Makes it nice. I'll probably call it here pretty soon, too. I got the gathering now. My voice is starting to hurt. You guys have been great tonight. Thanks, Jules, for coming. I enjoy talking to you, Jules. I live within 5 minutes of there, but I'm afraid to go because I don't know what to expect. Then don't go. Don't go until you're prepared. If you really want to go, then wait till you feel ready to go. Excuse me a second. My lips are real dry, and I can't find. There it is. The stuff that I take makes my throat slimy so I can talk. but I was already slimy already. It's just a mess. And then it dries my lips out. It's really weird. I have been thinking I can find someone there that might know something about this. You probably can. Um, you never know though. Um, like I said, everybody's different. I'm not really good on that kind of subject stuff, anyways. Like I said, I'm afraid to give advice because I when I give advice, I try to make it, real advice. And if I don't have a clue, it's not that I don't have a clue. It's just there's so many things you can do, and because I have changed my path again. Thank you, Jules, so much. I'll make sure she sees that too. My path, I've narrowed my path a little bit more. So I'm afraid to give advice that may not work for you. And I don't want that to happen. Do you understand what I'm saying? And I think the important thing too is I had to learn all this stuff myself, and I'm glad I did because I always was into research as a kid. And that's why I did research for or a lot of it was for people on Telegram and YouTube. But I always stayed out of the scene because they do a better job talking than I do. But because I do research, when I do research for myself, I go a little deeper. And I think that will help me. So try to find something that works for you. And then if you think you can go to that place and they might find an answer for you, go. But go when you're ready. When your gut tells you you're ready. Latra's got the thumbs up. Completely understand and thank you. I just don't have anybody that I can talk to about any of this. Yeah, Gemma, she's a busy woman. She got a lot going on. I think you know that. It's not, lately I've hadn't spent, we play games. We used to play games. We still do. But we play games a lot together, Fortnite. That's when we talk and hang out during that day before little man comes home. But we both have been so busy lately and a lot going on. And she's had a crazy weekend already. I think I spent a little time with her yet Friday afternoon. I don't even think I did then either. We text each other for a little bit, but she's got a lot going on. I think you should have been at Raymond Chandler Gumshoe. And that's funny. For about a year and a half, I did take courses in private detective because I kind of wanted to do it because I have a friend that's a private detective and he makes good cash. And he was, I'll give you a job. But I had a different calling. Only one guy to discuss UFO stuff with, dear. I do live in an alternate universe. I think we all do in our own little way. Latro, I really do. Chimney needs to do quite a bit himself. A life maintenance of Harold, and I absolutely encourage her to take every minute to herself she can. And totally agree. It's important, it's important for self-time, even if it's just sitting in a corner relaxing, not with anything on. It's good for the soul to kind of quiet things down. I call it quieting it down. That's what I do when I get migraines. I quiet things down. I don't get them like I used to. Now when I get the tremors or my voice gets real bad and I get frustrated, I have to go calm things down. Quiet things down. It's usually now with the Bible, or I go out and do a little bit of Tai Chi, calm my soul. Yeah, that's why us playing games first floor was so we both get a little time away from everything, and that way we can hang out with each other during the stream. But yeah, she's got a lot going on. There is a lot more BS and fake channels now with, oh, the AI stuff is so bad now. I went trolling one night, just kind of going through the home page and seeing what it was offering, and I kept flipping it over and flipping it. And the more I flip the page over, the more, you know what I mean by flipping the page. I just hit reset and reset the page again with something new. The more I did, the more the AI stuff showed. And it is just so bad. Some of this AI stuff is so bad. It's such crap. New book titled Quiet Things Down. Yeah, there you go. Quiet Things Down. I actually might be one I might write. Because I got good at that. That's one thing I am good at. Believe me, though, when I get all stirred up, it's not good. Especially when I get mad. When I was a kid, man, I had a temper. And then when I got in my teen years, a lot of it, I think, too, was just because I saw so much and nobody believed what I was seeing. So I got to stop talking. Then I got bullied. Then I got beat up one day and went and took martial arts. In that problem and got involved in that and still seeing things. I'll tell you what, there was, when I took martial arts was, and finding my faith again, was probably the two best things that happened to me. Because I go out, I just do some stance. I don't even do Tai Chi anymore. I do my own little workout, what I call open fist workout. It's kind of like Tai Chi. I use the same kind of methods. Because when you take more than one different martial arts, it's good because you incorporate it into the way you are. Every fighter I know takes more than one art and they incorporate it the best suits them. I've noticed like older guys now like me who I've known and fought with now fight a little differently because they're older. I can't kick like I used to. So now I've relied more on takedowns and hand moves. I want an AI vid of Fresno night crawlers doing. If Al was here, Al, she does AI stuff. Maybe I'll ask her to try to do something. She's done a couple of the pale crawlers before and do an act for America's Got Talent. That would be wild. Other book titled Ghost Gets Mad. He punches a wall he can't hit. There you go. But I'm supposed to tell you your mama is so proud of you, so proud it brings tears to your eyes. My mama? I hope so, because when my mama passed, things that should have been said didn't get said. And I hope she is proud of me. And I just want to take care of the old man. That has been my main focus lately because he's slowing down. He does, it's not moving as much as he wants to. I'm trying to get him a house, but the weather's been crap because he's getting poor cabin fever. I don't want to feel like he's locked in here. I don't like feeling when I'm locked in here. And sometimes I purposely lock myself in this house because I get tired of what I see when I go outside. That's all right. You're fine. I appreciate it. Maybe it was something I needed to hear. You see, that's another thing. A lot of reasons why I stepped away from ghost hunting was because by faith. Because you can't be sure that the thing is talking to you is what it says it is. Now, when you just blurred that out like you did, that made me feel good. That made me say that made me think that something reached inside of you and said, hey, say this to him. And I appreciate that, Jules. So there must have been a reason why you said it. You know, I miss my mom. No, we didn't end things, all of us. My dad and her didn't end things with the way they should have ended. You know, that wasn't they hated each other. It's just, there was things that should have been told to each other that wasn't been told. That was never told. He found out afterwards, and it's just rough, you know. But all families have this. And yeah, there was a few things I would have liked to say to her. By the time I got to my mom, I watched her pass. I was standing beside her when she passed. Everybody else was either out of the room and Dad was asleep in the chair. I did. Tell my brother to get the nurse because she was gone. But she had no idea I was there. Yeah, I'm trying to because my dad was the guy that worked all the time. And I'm not saying he wasn't a dad. He came home, he ate dinner with us. He was there to make sure we behaved. And my dad's a interesting guy as it is. I really didn't know that. I knew that then. I knew things then. But now, over the last years with him, I've learned so much more about him. And I couldn't be more proud to be son of his. And he's been through the Schmitz. And that's no joke. I mean, his family was dirt poor. So to be where we're at now is an achievement for him. But he's scared. He's watching the world he fought for crumble. And it scares him. And that slows him down even more. I've noticed a lot of these 100-year-old, 90 and plus year old people are starting to show signs that, you know, hey, I'm glad I lived this long, but maybe I didn't want to see what's happening now. And I'm watching soldiers who fought World War II regretting they even went to war because of what's going on right now. They're just like, why'd I even bother? You know, I fought for your rights, and this is what you do. Our parents made us. Yes, they did. And I'm proud of what my parents brought. You know, I may not be a proud man, but I'm proud on how I was raised. And I had good parents. Not the greatest parents in the world, because not all parents are great. We all know that. We make our mistakes. We have our faults. I have 3 kids. I'm proud of my 3 kids, considering, you know what, they've been, not what I put them through, it's what they've been through after they left my house. And they stayed strong. They keep trucking. They keep kicking. They're not going to give up. So my good man, how are you? People in crisis are denying often report seeing and hearing everything in the room. Their things are no one thinks they're aware of, being the separation of body, but this allows 360-degree viewing. You think so? It's always weird because I walk in, even before I walk in and open the door, I pretty much know what I'm walking into. And I don't even have to be in the room. I already know what's in the room. It's just when I walk into the room, it's putting that feeling to those people, what I'm getting from each of those people. And it's not hard to do. It's not hard to do. And good to see you, sir. I hope you're having a good weekend. I'm proud of that too. You know, I'm not a great man. I've had my sins, made some bad mistakes in my life. And I don't know how I kept being sent back after a number of times of almost meeting my maker. In fact, there was a couple times I'm pretty sure I met my maker. But, you know, I wouldn't change anything. I wouldn't go back and change any part of my life. Not one bit of it. They always say the grass is greener on the other side. Then tend to your own grass, because you can make it green. And that's the way I've always looked at it. That's how I became a groundskeeper for a short time. I'm cool. I know you are, Russo. I am my mother's savage daughter, my daddy's little girl. Well, I didn't have no sister. Well, actually, Patty is my sister from a different parents. That's what she became. Thomas was my brother from different parents. He's gone now, but I know he's with me. Still haven't been to the ER, but managing the things till I can. That's what you do. If you need to go to the ER, you go. Only if they had better beds. Yeah, that'd be nice if they even had that. There was a couple times I've been in the hospital, and I'd probably have done me better than what they did for me. I will meet my maker. When I do, I will have questions. I probably won't have any questions. The only question I've had while I've been alive is, why do you keep sending me back? That's about it. And it's not in a bad way. It's just, why? I mean, but I gotta admit, things change. Every time that it's happened to me, things have changed. Either something else becomes more strong, like seeing things, or other things that have been bothering me seem to disappear. So actually, I think each event that I've had actually has made me a better person in one form or another, though it didn't change me. Do you understand what I'm saying? It definitely impacted my ways in ways that I can't explain. I had 5 older brothers. Unfortunately, I only have one brother living, and I'm the youngest. Aw. Yeah, I have 3 brothers. I am number 3. I have 2 older brothers. And as you folks, most of you know that my youngest brother is, I think it's about 2 years now, going on 2 years now that he's passed. Ghost dude, stand behind me, my little brother. And you can stand behind me. I don't mind. But I'm more than happy to let you go first. I'm being silly, but thank you. It's a lot. Slow. I love it when you guys come in. We'll take it to about 2 o'clock, and then I'm going to call it. I'm starting to get voice, and I don't want to keep slipping water, guys, in front of you. Because it's getting kind of hard to swallow, so now I'm making kind of swallowed noises. You guys are fantastic. In fact, I'd like to leave on this note. You guys are wonderful people. Jules, don't ever give up. You'll find your way. Latro, Uso, Slow, you guys have a fantastic night. Latro, I hope you get to feeling better. Slow, go to bed, get some rest. The sun is probably already up there. Make sure you drink a cup of coffee before you go to bed first. Uso, thank you for stopping in. You guys are fantastic. That's fine too. You can do that, Jules. I don't think either one of us will complain. You guys have a wonderful weekend. All you folks that come in and hang out for the conversation or come in for the replay, enjoy it. Leave a comment, leave a like. You guys are wonderful people. You will always be on top of my list and on top of my prayer chart. I pray for all of you. Believe it or not, I literally do have a list. You folks have a wonderful night. Have a wonderful morning, since it is morning. Have a wonderful Sunday. Let's have a good week. Hopefully, I'll see you guys Tuesday night at 10:15 p.m. ET time, Eastern time. for the mysterious death of Ray Riviera. Yeah, there was a replay. Oh, yeah, you thought we talked through it. Yeah, it was the paracrawlers. Yes, make sure you hit that thumbs up. But I hope to see you guys Tuesday night for that. And we should be here Friday. If I have to kick in the butt, we'll be here Friday. We're going to be a little more prepared this time. I was ready to go, but she, like I said, she was having issues. She was afraid that after last Friday with her internet and everything, she wants to make sure it's good to go when she does this. Much love to you all. Like I said again, I hope I see you Tuesday night at 10. I'm going to push it at 10:15 p.m. ET time. It's a short one. It shouldn't go long. She said it's pretty short, but it should be a good one. Much love. Folks, I love you all. Have a wonderful Sunday. May you guys have a blessed evening and a blessed day. And I'll see you folks